I freeze, coffee mug suspended halfway to my lips, as Carol's Facebook post fills my screen. My thumb hovers over the family photos, unable to move as my brain struggles to process what I'm seeing. Everyone is there. Mom, Dad, Tyler, Brittany, and her family. Aunt Jean from Florida. Even cousin Mark, who rarely leaves his basement apartment. They're gathered around the fireplace at my parents' lake house, arms draped over shoulders, faces flushed with laughter and belonging. Everyone except me. I set my mug down before my trembling hand betrays me. The ceramic makes a hollow sound against the granite countertop, like an echo in an empty room. December Family Reunion 2024. So blessed to have everyone together. Carol's caption mocks me from my phone. I zoom in on Tyler's face, catching the unmistakable smugness in his expression. He knew I wasn't invited. They all knew. My gaze drifts to the refrigerator where my calendar hangs, the date circled in red. Family reunion, the 15th of December. Yesterday, the day I'd been waiting for, preparing for, the day that apparently happened without me. A memory surfaces unbidden. My cramped studio apartment during senior year, the flickering light above my desk as I worked on coding projects until 3 in the morning before heading to my barista job at 5. The contrast of my parents' comfortable suburban home, with its manicured lawn and updated kitchen, always lingered in my mind. I didn't mind the struggle. It was building something that mattered. The day I landed my position at Meridian Tech, Dad had been polite but distracted. Mom had asked if it came with health insurance. Tyler had snorted and asked if I'd be playing with computers all day. Only I understood what it meant. Financial security, finally. I remember the first support check I wrote them. My hands had shaken then too, but with pride. I'd framed a copy of it before sending the original, proof that their daughter had made it. $200,000 later, I stand in my kitchen, staring at people who didn't think to include me in their holiday gathering. I take a deep breath and open my banking app, the numbers confirming what I already know. The monthly transfer to my parents processed 3 days ago. As always, without fail. My resolve hardens as I move with deliberate purpose. First, the screenshots of Carol's post saved to my phone. Then, the bank statements printed neatly from my home office. Each monthly transfer of the past 5 years. The extra payments, Tyler's car, when he totaled his previous one. Brittany's emergency dental work. The new roof for my parents' house. I slide everything into a folder, pressing it closed with a firm click. In my bathroom, I smooth my hair and apply lipstick with precision. The woman in the mirror looks calm, controlled, prepared. Not this time, I tell her quietly. The drive to my parents' home takes 23 minutes. I know because I've made this journey countless times, usually responding to some urgent need or manufactured crisis. The same house I helped refinance when Dad's commission-only sales job hit a slump 3 years ago. Headlights illuminate the familiar mailbox, the one I paid to replace last spring. I park behind Tyler's BMW vehicle that wouldn't exist without my monthly contributions to his temporary financial shortfall that has somehow lasted 4 years. The scent of roasted turkey greets me as I enter without knocking. They're already seated around the dining table, the good china gleaming under the chandelier. My mother looks up, surprise briefly crossing her face before she smiles. "Lauren, honey, I didn't know you were coming for dinner tonight." "Thought I'd surprise you," I say, hanging my coat carefully on the rack. "Hope there's enough food." "Always room for one more," Dad says without looking up from his plate. He's wearing the watch I bought him for his birthday, the one he called too extravagant before accepting it anyway. Tyler snickers into his wine glass. "Yeah, surprised to see you away from your computer on a weeknight. No emergencies at work?" "Not tonight," I reply, taking the empty seat next to Brittany, who immediately shifts slightly away. Mom serves me a generous portion of green bean casserole, my least favorite dish, despite mentioning it every holiday for the past decade. "So, Brittany says Tyler just put a deposit down on a lakefront property. It's an investment opportunity, very exclusive." I nod, cutting my turkey into precise pieces. "Sounds expensive." Tyler puffs up visibly. "Well, you know what they say. You have to spend money to make money." Dad launches into a complaint about the property tax increase, absent-mindedly adjusting his watch. I let the conversation flow around me, waiting for the perfect moment. When there's a natural lull, I set down my fork and ask with practiced casualness, "How was the family reunion yesterday?" The silence that descends is absolute. 5 pairs of eyes fix on me, expressions ranging from shock to discomfort toying Tyler's case on disguised amusement. "What reunion?" Mom asks, her voice pitched slightly too high. I reach for my water glass, taking a deliberate sip. "The one at the lake house. The one Aunt Carol posted about on Facebook this morning." Tyler smirks. "Oh, that reunion. Yeah, it was yesterday." Brittany jumps in, her voice syrupy sweet. "Oh my God, Mom, you didn't tell Lauren? Oops." Mom glances nervously at Dad, who clears his throat authoritatively. "Must have slipped our minds," he says, waving his fork dismissively. "You're always working anyway. Wouldn't have expected you to make it." I place my phone on the table, screen up, Carol's post clearly visible. Funny, since it's been on my calendar for months. "Lauren," Mom begins, her tone shifting to the one she uses when she wants something. "Don't make a big deal out of nothing. It was just a small gathering." 27 people, I say, scrolling through the photos. Every family member except me. Tyler rolls his eyes. "So dramatic. It's just a stupid reunion." I open my purse and withdraw the folder, placing it next to my phone. The table falls silent again as I flip it open, revealing the neatly organized bank statements. "If I'm not important enough to invite," I say, my voice steady despite the thunder of my heartbeat, "then you don't need my money either." Tyler's laugh slices through the silence, too loud and hollow against the dining room walls. "You're kidding, right?" His eyes dart to my folder, then back to my face. "This is just some dramatic little show." "It was a misunderstanding, Lauren," Brittany says, scooting her chair closer to mine, her hand reaching for my arm. I shift just enough that her fingers grasp empty air. "We thought you were busy. You know how you always are." Mom's eyes begin to glisten, the tears forming right on cue. "You can't do this to your family," she whispers, voice trembling with practiced precision. Dad sets his fork down with a deliberate clink against the good china I paid to replace last Christmas, when Mom mentioned how embarrassed she was by the chipped edges of her mother's set. "That's enough, Lauren," he says, summoning the stern father voice that stopped working on me years ago. "You're overreacting." I don't respond immediately. Instead, I open my purse and pull out the folder with steady hands. One by one, I spread the bank statements across the dining table, between the green bean casserole and the buttered rolls. The yellow highlighter marks are impossible to miss. $2,500 transferred on the first of every month for the past 5 years. The special payments are circled in red. $42,000 for Tyler's BMW after he totaled his Audi. $8,700 for Brittany's emergency dental work that her insufficient insurance wouldn't cover. $24,500 for my parents' new roof and kitchen renovation. The last statement sits in the center, the $60,000 lump sum payment that cleared their second mortgage when Dad's commissions dried up during the pandemic. No one speaks. The only sound is Mom's fork slipping from her fingers onto her plate. Tyler's expression shifts from mockery to something closer to panic. His phone vibrates against the table. He glances down, swipes the notification away. It vibrates again and again. "Those your credit card alerts?" I ask quietly. The color drains from his face. "You don't understand," he says, voice dropping. "I've got payments due. Big ones. I'm already maxed out on 3 cards." "Tyler," Mom hisses, shooting him a warning look. "What?" She needs to know what she's doing. He turns back to me, voice rising. "I could get evicted, Lauren. Is that what you want? Your brother homeless because you're throwing some tantrum? You have the money." He slams his hand down, making the water glasses jump. "It wouldn't even hurt you. What else are you spending it on anyway? It's not like you have a family to support." Brittany slides her chair closer to Mom, draping an arm around her shoulders with practiced concern. Her perfectly manicured nails so fresh set I recognized from the salon receipt she texted me last week, asking for a small loan. Pat Mom's hand soothingly. Mom's been so stressed about bills lately, she murmurs, voice pitched just loud enough to reach me while seeming private. Her blood pressure medication isn't fully covered by insurance now. I've been trying to help, but with the kids' activities. I watch the performance with a detachment that surprises me. The subtle head tilt toward Mom, the gentle furrowing of her brow. Brittany's concerned daughter routine is flawless. She's always been the family emotional choreographer, positioning herself at the center of every crisis while somehow emerging as the solution rather than the problem. Why didn't you tell me about the medication? I ask Mom directly. Before Mom can answer, Brittany leans forward, cutting off our eye contact. You're so busy with your job. We didn't want to burden you. Her voice drops to a conspiratorial whisper meant to exclude Tyler and Dad. You know how they worry about bothering you. I told them, Lauren's got her own life now. We understand you're already so selective with your money. The phrase catches my attention. Selective? Brittany's eyes widen slightly, realizing her mistake. She recovers quickly, squeezing Mom's shoulders. Lauren doesn't mean it, Mom. She's just tired from working so much. I glance at the family photo on the credenza last Christmas at Aunt John's. I'd flown in from a client meeting in Seattle, exhausted but determined not to miss it. In the background, I can see Brittany whispering to our cousin Amy, both looking in my direction with expressions I'd mistaken for admiration. How long have you been telling people I'm stingy with my money, Brittany? I ask quietly. I would never, she begins, but Tyler snorts. Please. You told Uncle Rob that Lauren refuses to help with family emergencies because she's saving for some fancy condo renovation. That was the same week she paid for your kid's private school deposit. Is that what you've been telling people? That I'm stingy with my money? Dad clears his throat, sitting up straighter. Lauren, this discussion is over. You will not stop supporting this family. His tone leaves no room for debate yet. At least that's clearly his intention. After all we've done for you, Mom adds, dabbing at her eyes, we sacrificed everything so you could go to that fancy university. I had a full scholarship, I remind her, and worked 3 jobs to cover living expenses. We gave you values. Dad's voice rises. Family takes care of family. That's how we raised you. Is that why you've been telling relatives I'm still figuring things out professionally? Why Aunt Jean asked if I was still at that computer help desk job. Silence descends again, heavier this time. The realization settles in my chest like a cold stone. I'm not their daughter. I'm their bank. The golden goose they're terrified of losing. I stand, suddenly needing space. They rise with me, closing and Mom reaching for my hand, Brittany blocking the doorway, Dad stepping closer to my side, Tyler hovering by the table, eyes darting between me and my purse, as if calculating whether he could grab the bank statements before I could stop him. Behind them hangs our family portrait from 3 years ago. We're all smiling, coordinated in blue and beige, Dad's hand on my shoulder. I remember writing the check for the photographer the next day. My decision is final. My voice remains steady, though I feel a deep ache spreading beneath my ribs. Grief for the family I thought I had. I gather my things with deliberate slowness, tucking the statements back into my folder. The key to their house, my parents' house, feels suddenly heavy in my pocket. I place it on the table, metal against wood, making a final decisive sound. Would you like some dessert before you go? Mom asks desperately. I made your favorite apple pie. I shake my head. At the door, I pause, looking back at the home I've been helping pay for, at the people who excluded me from their lives while accepting my money. Something shifts inside me, not regret, but resolution. I'll always be your daughter, I tell them quietly, but I will no longer be your bank. I close the door behind me, the cool evening air washing over my heated face. For the first time in years, I drive away without a promise to fix something, without an invoice waiting in my inbox. It feels like breathing after years underwater. My phone vibrates against the kitchen counter for the 17th time this hour. I don't need to look to know who it is. The screen lights up again. Tyler. Ha ha. Okay. You made your point. Now send the money. I take a sip of my tea, waiting for what I know will follow. 3, 2, 1. Lauren, I'm serious. If you don't send it, I'm screwed. The desperation in his messages escalates with each notification. If you don't help me, my credit will tank. Do you want that on your conscience? I place my mug down and silence my phone, but not before catching a glimpse of 5 missed calls from Mom. Her voicemails range from tearful pleas, "Lauren, honey, we need to talk about this misunderstanding," to barely contained anger, "I didn't raise you to be this selfish." My laptop pings with an email notification. Dad, with the subject line, "Family Responsibility." The preview shows just enough for me to see his opening line. "It's time you act like an adult and stop this childish." I close my laptop. On my tablet, Brittany's latest passive-aggressive Facebook post appears. "True family stands together through everything. Blood is thicker than water. Family loyalty. Disappointed." 3 angry face emojis from cousins who weren't at the reunion either. My condo, normally my sanctuary after long days of coding, now feels like a fortress under siege. The clean lines of my mid-century furniture, the carefully curated bookshelves, the piece I've crafted here, all of it, vibrates with the digital intrusion of my family's demands. I move deliberately through each device, turning off notifications one by one. On my phone, settings, notifications, Tyler off, Mom off, date off, Brittany off. On my laptop, email filters created. On social media, muted, all of them. The sudden silence feels both empty and full. I sit at my small dining table nothing like the ornate cherrywood monstrosity at my parents' house that I helped pay to restore last year. Mine is simple walnut, chosen for its clean lines rather than status. I open my banking app and stare at the automatic transfers I set up years ago. Mom and Dad household, $2,500 monthly. Tyler emergency fund, $1,000 monthly. Brittany children's education, $500 monthly. My finger hovers over each one. Cancel. Confirm. Cancel. Confirm. Cancel. Confirm. With each confirmation, something shifts in my chest, not lighter exactly, but more aligned, like vertebrae slipping back into place after years of poor posture. I open a new spreadsheet. Lauren's budget, 2025. I start filling in the numbers I know by heart, but this time, I don't include the family column that has consumed nearly a third of my income for years. As the calculations update automatically, a number appears at the bottom that momentarily stops my breathing. Disposable income, $4,000 month. A sum that would have been inconceivable just days ago. I create a new row. Dream vacation fund. My phone rings with a number I recognize. Margaret, my best friend from college. The one person who's been telling me for years that my family was taking advantage of me. "I saw Brittany's post," she says without preamble. "Are you okay?" For the first time since the family dinner, I feel tears threatening. "I'm fine." "The hell you are," Margaret says, her voice gentle despite the words. "But you did the right thing, Lauren. You know that, right?" Before I can answer, a text appears from James, a coworker who noticed my distraction during our morning meeting. "You seemed off today. Everything all right? Happy to grab coffee if you need to talk." And then, surprisingly, a private message from Aunt Carol. "I'm so sorry about the reunion photos. I didn't realize you weren't invited. We all asked where you were, and your mom said you were too busy with work to come. If I'd known." My supervisor, Sarah, stops by my desk the next day, closing the door to my office. "Family issues?" she asks, her perceptive eyes taking in my exhausted appearance. When I hesitate, she continues, "I recognize that look. 3 years ago, I had to cut off my brother after he drained my savings account for the 3rd time." She pauses. It gets easier. 1 week later, I'm eating lunch at my dining table when the doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see my mother and Brittany standing in the hallway, fake smiles plastered on their faces. Brittany's children, Aiden, 6, and Emma, 4, stand in front of them like human shields. I take a deep breath and open the door. Aunt Lauren, the children chorus, rushing forward with crayon drawings. We were just in the neighborhood, Mom says, her voice too bright, and thought we'd stop by. Brittany holds up a bag from my favorite bakery. We brought those almond croissants you love. I kneel to accept Emma's drawing. Thank you, sweetheart. This is beautiful. I turn to Aiden, admiring his robot drawing while being acutely aware of the calculating gazes above me. Can we come in? Mom asks, already stepping forward. I rise slowly. The kids can come in for a few minutes. You two can wait in the hallway. Mom's smile freezes. Lauren, don't be ridiculous. We're family. Yes, we are, and family respects boundaries. I open the door wider for the children. Aiden, Emma, would you like some juice? Behind them, Brittany's face hardens. You can't be serious. I am. I meet her gaze steadily. The children are welcome. You aren't. Not until we've had a conversation about respect and neutral ground. Mom's facade crumbles. Lauren, please. The property tax bill came yesterday, without your help. I'm sure Dad can figure something out, I say, my voice calmer than I feel. He managed household finances for decades before I started helping. Brittany's desperation becomes palpable. This isn't just about money, Lauren. It's about families supporting each other. Yes, I agree. It is. Their tactics fail one by one as I maintain my position. Eventually, they leave, children in tow, Brittany's parting words hanging in the air. This isn't over. 3 days later, I receive increasingly frantic texts from all of them. Bills arriving with no means to pay. Tyler facing eviction and repossession simultaneously. My father returning to work part-time after 4 years of retirement. Family members are asking questions, wondering how Mom and Dad's lavish lifestyle has suddenly contracted, how Tyler's apparent wealth has evaporated overnight, how Brittany's endless shopping sprees have abruptly ceased. The financial reality they've hidden behind my support is collapsing around them. At 11:43 p.m., heavy pounding on my door jolts me awake. Through the peephole, I see Tyler unshaven, eyes wild, clothes wrinkled as if he's been wearing them for days. I know you're in there, Lauren. Open the door. I wrap my robe tightly around myself and open the door. Security chain still in place. What do you want, Tyler? He switches instantly to the charming smile that has gotten him out of trouble since childhood. Hey sis, sorry about the hour. Can I come in? I just want to talk. No, say what you need to say from there. His smile slips. Come on, don't be like that. I've been thinking about what happened, and you're right. I should be more appreciative. He leans closer to the crack in the door. I just need a little help. Just this once. Then I promise I'll get my act together. No, Tyler. His charm evaporates. You don't understand. I'll lose my apartment, my car, everything. Your financial problems are not my emergency, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. His face contorts. You selfish bitch. You think you're so much better than us because you have a fancy job? Because you have money? You're nothing without this family. Nothing. The neighbors' doors are opening now, curious faces peering into the hallway. You're just a selfish brat, he shouts, all pretense abandoned. You think you're better than us because you have money? Newsflash, you're not. And when you finally fail, don't come crawling back, 'cause we won't care. I look at my brother, really look at him. The designer clothes I paid for, now rumpled. The entitlement etched into his features. The rage of a man who's never faced consequences for his actions. Good to know, Tyler. My voice doesn't waver. Now get off my property. I close the door firmly, turn the deadbolt, and slide down against it until I'm sitting on the floor, my knees pulled to my chest. My hands are shaking. My heart pounds against my ribs, but I don't open the door. My phone vibrates against the nightstand for the 5th time in 20 minutes. I don't need to look at the screen to know it's another family message. They've been arriving in waves, perfectly timed almost, as if they're coordinating their attacks. I finally reach for the phone, scrolling through the notifications. Mom, Lauren, you can't abandon your family like this. After everything we've done for you. Think about what people will say. Brittany, you're being ridiculous. Family is supposed to help each other. Mom is crying herself to sleep every night. Tyler's messages have evolved over the past week. First came the mockery. Dramatic much? Guess you showed us. Then the begging. I really need help with this month's car payment. Now, thinly veiled threats. You'll regret cutting us off when you need something. And you will need something. I set the phone down and take a deliberate sip of my morning coffee, savoring the bitter warmth. 3 separate cousins called yesterday, each with the same concerned tone, each supposedly just checking in after hearing some concerning things. Aunt Jean from Florida, who I see once every 5 years, suddenly feels compelled to text. Family stands by family, Lauren. I'm disappointed in you. My finger hovers over the power button on my phone. Instead, I open my laptop and type a quick email to Sarah in legal. Do you have time to discuss a personal matter that may have professional implications? I write, then press send before I can reconsider. 2 hours later, sitting across from Sarah in her office, I carefully place a folder on her desk. Inside are screenshots of every message, every voicemail transcript, and a log of all family contact attempts. I'm concerned this may escalate, I explain, keeping my voice steady. My brother has made comments suggesting he might contact clients or appear at the office. Sarah nods, reviewing the documents with a practiced eye. Smart to document everything, she says. Let's talk about a protection plan. By afternoon, I've scheduled installation of a security camera at my condo entrance, met with my bank to password protect all accounts, and drafted a clear, attorney-reviewed email to my family defining my boundaries. Effective immediately, I will not respond to communications that are demanding, threatening, or manipulative in nature. Any appearance at my workplace will result in immediate security involvement. This is not negotiable. I press send and exhale slowly, feeling both lighter and heavier simultaneously. I hear the whispers at the grocery store 3 days later. That's her, a former neighbor murmurs to her companion, the one who abandoned her family after making all that tech money. I select an apple, examining it with unnecessary focus while straining to hear their conversation. Richard says they sacrificed everything for her education, and now she's turned her back on them. The words drift over the produce section. I place the apple in my cart and straighten my shoulders, moving through the store with deliberate calm. Let them talk. I've made my decision. What surprises me most is my lack of desire to defend myself. The old Lauren would have rushed to explain, to justify, to make everyone understand. Now, I simply check out with my groceries and drive home. When my phone rings with an unknown number that evening, I almost ignore it. Something makes me answer. Is this Lauren Mitchell? Asks a stern male voice. Yes, speaking. This is American Credit Services calling about your brother Tyler Mitchell's overdue account. He's listed you as a guarantor on his loan. My hand tightens around the phone. I've never co-signed any loan for my brother. Well, he's provided your contact information as a payment reference on multiple accounts. He indicated you'd be covering his payments. The pieces click together, the calls from unknown numbers over the past year, the collection notices that sometimes appeared in my mail. I'm not responsible for any of my brother's debts. I state firmly, and I'd like to be removed from all his accounts immediately. After hanging up, I open my laptop and pull up my financial management software. The neat columns of numbers tell a new story now. Without the $2,500 monthly transfer to my parents and the emergency expenses for Tyler and Brittany, my financial picture has transformed. I schedule an appointment with a financial advisor for next week. Then, after a moment's hesitation, I click on a travel site I've had bookmarked for years but never seriously considered. 2-bedroom villa on the Amalfi Coast. 7 nights. My finger hovers over the Book Now button. I've always wanted to see Italy. Always put it off because something more important needed my money. I click. The confirmation page appears, and an unfamiliar feeling washes over me. Freedom. The call comes at 11:47 p.m. 3 weeks later. My mother's name flashes on the screen. I answer, hearing her labored breathing. Lauren, she gasps. I think I'm having a heart attack. Your father isn't home. I need you to come right away. My heart pounds, but my mind remains clear. I'm calling an ambulance for you right now, I say, already dialing 911 on my other phone. No, no ambulance, she protests. Just come over. Please, Lauren, I need you. 20 minutes later, paramedics report back that my mother is experiencing no cardiac symptoms. Her blood pressure is normal. There are no signs of distress beyond her agitation at their presence. The paramedic's voice lowers on the phone. This happens sometimes, she says gently. People use medical emergencies to regain contact. I thank her and end the call, just as a voicemail notification appears. It's from my father. You've gone too far this time, his voice growls, all pretense abandoned. Sending strangers to our house instead of coming yourself? You think you're so much better than us. You'd be nothing without this family. Nothing. I delete the message without replying. My phone lights up with a text from Tyler. I messed up. I don't know what to do. Please, Lauren, help me. My thumb hovers over the keyboard. How many times have I received this exact message? How many times have I rushed to solve Tyler's problems, draining my accounts, my energy, my life, to fix his mistakes? A memory surfaces. Tyler at my college graduation, rolling his eyes during my valedictorian speech, checking his watch repeatedly. Tyler borrowing my first work laptop and returning it with beer spilled on the keyboard. Tyler laughing about computer nerds while cashing the checks I sent. I take a deep breath and press delete. The message disappears from my screen. For the first time in years, I feel myself smile without reservation. I'm reaching for organic tomatoes when I hear my name called across the produce section. Lauren? Lauren Mitchell? Mrs. Henderson, my parents' neighbor for 20 years, approaches with her shopping cart. Her silver bob catches the fluorescent light as she moves toward me, with surprising speed for a woman in her 70s. It's been months since I've seen you, she says, resting a hand on my forearm. Her touch is light, but her gaze is heavy with something I can't quite place. How have you been, dear? I'm well, thank you. I place 2 tomatoes in my basket, hyper-aware of my surroundings. It's been 3 months since I cut financial ties with my family. 3 months of blessed silence after the initial storm of texts and calls. Mrs. Henderson's fingers tighten slightly on my arm. I always wondered, she says, leaning closer, where all their money came from. My hand freezes mid-reach for a bell pepper. Excuse me? Your father, she clarifies, her voice lowering conspiratorially, always bragging about their investments, their vacations. Your mother showing off kitchen renovations. She shakes her head. Then suddenly, they're canceling their country club membership and your father's back working at the dealership. Her eyes narrow with sharp intelligence. Funny timing, don't you think? The weight of her words settles between us. My parents' carefully constructed facade of success, built on my financial support, now crumbling publicly without it. I should feel vindicated. Instead, a complicated ache spreads through my chest. Tyler's blaming your parents now. Aunt Carol says through the phone, no trace of her usual Southern cheerfulness, says they spoiled him instead of teaching responsibility. Rich, coming from him, but there it is. I grip the steering wheel tighter, navigating through traffic. And Mom and Dad? Fighting constantly. Your father says your mother should have managed the household budget better. Carol sighs. Everyone's looking for someone to blame now that you're not around to fix everything. The truth reverberates. Without me as their scapegoat and ATM, the family system is collapsing under its own dysfunction. Cousin Emma asked for your number, Carol adds. Said she always thought you got a raw deal. Others are starting to say the same. At work the next day, Sarah calls me into her office. Lauren, you've exceeded every metric we've set. She slides a folder across her desk with a promotion letter and substantial salary increase. Whatever changes you've made in your personal life, they're working for you professionally. My phone buzzes with a text. Jim, Brittany's husband. Need to talk, it's important. Before I can respond, commotion erupts in the hallway. A familiar voice cuts through the office chatter. Where is she, Lauren? I know you're here. Tyler. My stomach tightens as I step out of Sarah's office to see my brother, disheveled and wild-eyed, being blocked by our receptionist. "Sir, you need to leave or I'm calling security," she warns. "Lauren," Tyler spots me. "You think you're better than all of us now? Too good for family?" His voice cracks with desperation. "Mom's crying every day because of you." Colleagues pause, watching the scene unfold. I feel their eyes but stand perfectly still, refusing to match his chaos with mine. "Tyler, this is my workplace," I say, keeping my voice steady. "You need to leave." "You've always been selfish," he shouts as security arrives. "What about family loyalty, after everything we've done for you?" I don't flinch as they escort him toward the elevator, his accusations echoing down the hallway. The doors close on his angry face, and the office falls silent. "Everyone back to work," I say calmly, turning to my stunned colleagues. "Nothing to see here." Sarah squeezes my shoulder as I return to her office. "Are you okay?" Actually, yes, I realize, surprised by the truth of it. I am. That evening, as I review my investment portfolio watching 3 months of untouched savings grow, my phone rings with Jim's number. "I wanted to apologize," he says before I can speak. "I had no idea Brittany was taking money from you while we had our own emergency fund." "She told me you were struggling," I say carefully. "We were never struggling." His voice tightens with controlled anger, not at me, but at his wife. "Lauren, I've been trying to set boundaries with your family for years, but they're relentless." "That they are," I agree, surprising myself with a short laugh. "How did you do it?" he asks, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. "How did you finally break free?" The question catches me off guard, this impossible alliance forming across family lines. "I stopped believing I was responsible for fixing their problems," I say finally. The certified letter from my attorney arrives the next morning. I run my finger over the embossed letterhead before setting it on the kitchen counter. Inside, legal documentation establishing clear boundaries for future contact, removing my name from any financial commitments to the family home, and official notification that all monetary support has permanently ceased. My phone pings with a notification. The bank confirms Tyler's car has been repossessed, the same car I'd been making payments on for years. The Mercedes he'd parked defiantly in my visitor spot during his last emergency visit. For the first time in years, I sleep through the night without checking my phone. No midnight texts about broken water heaters or overdrawn accounts. No pre-dawn calls about Tyler's latest crisis. In the morning light, I stand before my bathroom mirror, studying my reflection. The woman looking back seems different, shoulders relaxed, jaw unclenched, eyes clear and focused. The constant weight I carried for so long has visibly lifted, as if I've shed an actual physical burden. I think about what Mrs. Henderson said in the grocery store, about Jim's hushed questions, about Tyler's desperate scene in my office, about how sometimes the true purpose of difficult boundaries isn't just protecting yourself, but forcing others to finally grow up. The scent of rosemary and garlic fills my condo as I arrange a final sprig of herbs on the roasted vegetable platter. Through the kitchen window, December snow falls in gentle flakes, nothing like the blizzard of emotions that engulfed me this time last year. "Need any help?" Margaret calls from the living room where she's adjusting a string of tasteful white lights along my bookshelf. "Just about done," I reply, surprised by the easy calm in my voice. A year ago, that voice trembled as I confronted my family over a dining table laden with manipulation and decades of expectation. I glance at the new photos adorning my wall, shaking at Starved Rock with James and his wife, Sarah, and I at the company retreat, a group shot from the financial literacy workshop I now lead monthly. Not a single image features the people who share my DNA. Yet these frames hold more genuine family than I've known in 32 years. My phone buzzes on the counter. Once, that sound would have triggered an immediate spike of adrenaline, another family emergency, another drain on my bank account, another reason I wasn't good enough despite everything I gave. Now, I check it at leisure, smiling at the text from a hiking group about next weekend's trail. The doorbell chimes, and I open it to find James and Lisa, their arms filled with a homemade lasagna and a bottle of wine. "Sorry we're early," Lisa says, unwinding her scarf. James was worried about the snow. "Always the planner," I laugh, accepting their offering. "Come in." Soon my modest living room hums with conversation. Sarah arrives with her partner, followed by two colleagues from the literacy program. The space fills with genuine laughter that doesn't hold hidden barbs or veiled requests. Margaret raises her glass during dinner. To Lauren, she says, her eyes holding mine with fierce pride, "Who taught me what courage really looks like?" Sarah nods. "You've inspired half the office to set better boundaries. My brother actually called to thank you." I feel warmth spread across my cheeks that has nothing to do with wine. Later, as we share dessert, Aunt Carol's monthly update arrives in my inbox. I excuse myself for a moment to read it privately on my balcony. "Tyler's working 2 jobs now, actually showing up consistently. Your parents finally sold the lake house, moving to that condo next month. Brittany and Mark are in counseling, something about financial honesty. Everyone's changing, Lauren. Slowly, painfully, but changing." Cold air fills my lungs as I absorb this. Without me as their safety net, they're finally learning to stand. The knowledge brings complexity, satisfaction tinged with grief for all the years wasted in our dance of enablement. Back inside, I catch sight of a small photo on my bookshelf, younger me, graduation day, eyes bright with hope before years of familial extraction dimmed them. Beside it sits my journal, tracking the emotional terrain I've navigated this year, and my latest bank statement with its healthy balance and absence of outgoing support payments. My therapist's words echo, "Boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier relationships if others choose to cross them respectfully." Later that week, I sit with Zoe, a 24-year-old participant in my financial literacy program. Something in her hesitant questions about family obligations reminds me of myself a decade ago. "My mom says it's my responsibility since I got the good job," she whispers. I reach into my bag and hand her my copy of Financial Boundaries, the book that helped rebuild my self-worth after years of erosion. "Your success doesn't make you responsible for others' choices," I tell her. "Helping is wonderful. Being exploited isn't." The recognition in her eyes tells me the cycle might break here. When the invitation to next year's family reunion arrives in the mail, I don't immediately toss it. Instead, I consider it thoughtfully before writing my conditions for attendance on crisp stationery. My father's voice sounds older when he calls to discuss it. "Lauren," he begins, then pauses. "We didn't see what we were doing to you. I'm sorry." The apology is imperfect, halting, but the first genuine words we've exchanged in years. "I'll consider coming, Dad," I say finally. But this time, it's on my terms. That evening, I stand on my balcony watching twilight embrace the city. Wind chimneys, a housewarming gift from Margaret, sing softly in the breeze. I close the family album I finally found courage to revisit, running my fingers over its worn cover. Sometimes I whisper to the fading light, "The most loving thing you can do for family is to stop protecting them from the consequences of their actions."